Beneath ancient seas and on primeval plains, monsters stranger than imagination thrived. Five-eyed oddities, saber-fanged beasts, and alien hunters that rewrote life's rules before vanishing forever. In the Cambrian seas, more than 500 million years ago, a strange predator swam with speed and sharp vision. Its name was Anomalocaris. For decades, scientists argued about its body parts, misidentifying them as sea cucumbers, jellyfish, or shrimp. The story of Anomalocaris is full of mistakes, discoveries, and surprises. Anomalocaris was first described in 1892 by Joseph Whiteaves, who thought its spiny arm was a crustacean. In the early 1900s, Charles Doolittle Walcott added to the confusion by naming parts of the same creature as Peytoia, a jellyfish, and Lagania, a sea cucumber. Only in 1985 did Harry Whittington and Derek Briggs put the puzzle together, showing that these pieces belonged to one animal. Later studies in China, Australia, and Canada continued to refine the picture. Anomalocaris canadensis from the Burgess Shale of Canada and Anomalocaris dallei from the Emu Bay Shale of Australia are the recognized species. The animal grew to about 34 to 40 centimeters long, not the 1 meter often repeated. Its body had side flaps for swimming and a tail fan for quick turns. Large stalked compound eyes, up to 3 centimeters wide with 16,000 lenses, gave it excellent vision. Its frontal appendages carried spines and smaller spines called auxiliary spines, perfect for grabbing soft prey. The oral cone was triradial with 3 enlarged plates, more suited to sucking food than crushing trilobite shells. Fossils also reveal a complex digestive tract with midgut glands. Hydrodynamic studies show it could maneuver efficiently, an active hunter in open water. Far from the feared trilobite crusher, Anomalocaris was a swift predator of softer animals. Its story illustrates how science changes as fossils are re-examined. The anomalous shrimp of 1892 became the symbol of a Cambrian arms race, shaping the path of early animal evolution. More than 500 million years ago, Earth's oceans held creatures that looked nothing like anything alive today. Among them was one so unusual that when paleontologist Harry Whittington described it in 1975, the audience laughed out loud. This animal, named Opabinia regalis, would later become one of the most famous symbols of life's early experiments. Opabinia regalis was first described in 1912 by Charles Doolittle Walcott, who named it after Opabin Pass in Yoho National Park. The species name regalis simply means royal. The type specimen, catalogued as USNM Payal 57683, is still kept at the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. When Harry Whittington studied the fossils more closely, he realized that this animal was far stranger than anyone had imagined. Stephen Jay Gould later wrote about it in his book Wonderful Life, cementing its reputation as one of the Cambrian weird wonders. The animal itself was small, usually 4 to 7 centimeters long, though one specimen stretched just over 10 centimeters. Its head carried 5 bulging eyes and a long, flexible proboscis nearly 4 times the length of the head. At the end of the proboscis was a claw-like pair of spines used to grab prey and pass it into a backwards-facing mouth. Its trunk had 15 segments, each with a pair of flaps for swimming and a tail fan of 3 pairs for steering. Some scientists have debated whether Opabinia also had small, lobopod-like legs, but the evidence remains uncertain. Fewer than 50 specimens are known, making Opabinia rare in the Burgess Shale fossil community. Still, its importance is large. Today it is placed in the family Opabiniidae, along with a more recently described relative, Eutorora comosa. Together, they show that even the strangest body plans can have a place in the grand story of life. Life on Earth has witnessed predators of all shapes and sizes, but one giant from the Permian period, often slips out of the spotlight. Long before dinosaurs walked the land, a saber-toothed hunter named Inostranchevia ruled the floodplains of Pangaea. It was massive, it was strange, and it left a fossil trail stretching from Russia to southern Africa. The story of this animal takes us through forgotten expeditions, shifting continents, and the last days before the biggest mass extinction in history. Inostranchevia belonged to the group known as Gorgonopsians, close relatives of mammals, but not quite mammals themselves. Scientists describe them as non-mammalian synapsids, which is a mouthful, but all it really means is they were part of the family tree that eventually led to us. Within that group, Inostranchevia was the heavyweight, with skulls nearly 60 centimeters long and bodies up to 3.5 meters. It could have looked a little like a saber-toothed bear crossed with a reptile. Not exactly cuddly. Estimates put its mass around 300 kilograms. You would not want to run into it while walking your prehistoric pet. The name Inostranchevia was given by Vladimir Amalitsky in the early 1900s in honor of geologist Alexander Inostrantsev. The first detailed monographs came a few years later from P.A. Pravoslavlev in 1927. Amalitsky had led expeditions along the northern Dvina River in Arkhangelsk, Russia, where nearly complete skeletons were pulled from the Permian rocks. These fossils showed an apex predator with a long narrow skull and saber-like canine teeth. Its dental formula was unusual. 4 upper incisors instead of the 5 found in most relatives, and no post-canines on the lower jaw. These details told paleontologists that Inostranchevia was specialized for a powerful killing style. For decades, it was thought that this predator lived only in Russia. Then, new discoveries expanded its range dramatically. In 2023, Christian Kamara and colleagues described Inostranchevia africana from South Africa's Karoo Basin. In 2024, Christian Brandt and Christian Seedor reported fossils from Tanzania's Usili Formation, and in 2025, Jorge Macungo and others published new remains from Mozambique. Suddenly, Inostranchevia was no longer just a northern giant. It had crossed Pangaea, showing up in the southern continents as well. That meant it was part of a story of ecological turnover, filling the role of top predator as environments collapsed before the end Permian extinction. What exactly did Inostranchevia eat? Likely the heavyset dicynodonts, such as Scutosaurus and other bulky herbivores that filled the landscape. Biomechanical studies suggest that Gorgonopsians used their long saber teeth to deliver deep shearing bites. They did not have bone-crushing jaws like later mammals. Instead, they relied on slicing power, a bit like a giant pair of steak knives. For comparison, a close relative, Rubidia, had an estimated bite force of about 715 newtons. Inostranchevia would have been in the same league.